I got a couple questions for you. Um, my first one is, can you tell us a little bit about like your musical background? How did you get into music?
Absolutely, for sure. So I got into this business through the drums. I was a drummer in the beginning. So I've been playing drums for a long time. I did a little bit of guitars too, but not on a level where where you can call yourself a guitarist. But I was, helpfully, I could, I managed to play the guitar a little bit. But drums was my thing. So I studied that a long time, and then all of a sudden I stumbled upon this Digi 002, the Avid Digi Design interface. And that's where the whole addiction kind of started, I think. I just replaced my drumming more and more with songwriting and with the recording. Um, and I eventually got my first LA2A and my Roland tape echo, and I was just completely lost in the analog world. And everything from there is, you know, where I am today. So
Certainly.
yeah, but
Hey, do you remember what the first project you worked on is, or maybe the first like significant one you worked on is?
um, my first significant project, I think, for me, what was significant was when I started with my band. Uh, like 15 years ago. I'm no longer a part of that band, and the band does no longer exist. But um, as a drummer, I was just in charge of everything because I had the most gear already with the drum set, and carrying that around, and eventually that became you know uh, including a little bit of a studio, and you just carry on and do all that, and I record. So that's where things started, and the most significant from that, I think, at that point I was also playing a lot with a guy named Jonah Nilsson, who is now the lead singer of a band named Dirty Loops. And we did some songwriting recording stuff back then, and I think that was probably the beginning of something, I guess. So in one way, that would be the most significant because that was like the foundation to everything else. Um, yeah, and then more later on, we've been working with a lot of the projects from Quincy Jones production that Jonah brings on, uh, whatever that can be. So yeah.
Awesome. Hey, so I'm curious, were your parents musicians, or like how did that happen?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So my dad, he was also a drummer. He played in a Swedish prog rock band that at the time were quite famous. I think like there were not so many bands here. They were called Mäcky Markman, and when Frank Zappa and Jimi Hendrix was in Sweden, they were the opening act of these two guys. So that level is pretty cool, jamming with Jimi Hendrix and all that. So I heard all those stories when I was a kid, and of course I wanted to be a drummer. And my dad has always been into the sound engineering part and the technology behind everything. uh, he is the one also doing the service in the studio and the tech stuff. So that has played a big role for me, absolutely. And my mom, she played the guitar and she was singing. They were all doing that. I mean, they were both doing that on a level where they were serious, but then they chose the academic side eventually. I think around the age of 25, 30 was another time. Then people, it was more either you make it as a musician, I guess, or you just you have to go another path. But they have always kept the music alive, and there's always been a lot of music around, different styles, everything from jazz to rock to and which I appreciate. I really think that the more music, the more type, the more styles, the more genres you appreciate, the more happy you get, and the easier it is to be in this business. That's what I think, for sure.
Um, I was looking at your website. I saw that you work with some artists. Correct me if I'm Rebecca. Right? Is that her name?
There's been different Rebeccas as artists goes. I've been working with the Rebecca on the website. I think was the previous Rebecca that we worked with, and we released a single. And now I'm working with another girl who is named Rebecca, and we have actually been working longer. So my current project at the moment is with a girl named Rebecca Johnson.
Okay.
Johnson, yeah.
So what about Amaya and Joanna Klingsford? Are those?
Those are yes, exactly. We recorded a single with Johanna, and we released the album of Johanna, and we released the single of Amaya, and yeah, that was under the label basically. Yeah.
I bet you're
So
wondering what I'm doing, Martin. The green screen I have is like in my coffee cup. So cool.
you got all the gear.
Hey, so let me ask. I was also looking. I see that y'all have like management and publishing that Grand Music Group does. Can you tell me a little bit about that?
Yeah, it's more or less an option that we have here. To be honest, it is not as big as the recording part of the company, or the studio part. It's more or less an option. A few of the artists has used that, absolutely, and it has a lot to do with being able to negotiate with bigger labels, and um, in the end, to keep a long story short, just trying to keep more of the um, of the royalties and everything on your side, and I mean, keep as much as possible, and but still get as much out as possible. Not to get into the details, but yeah, just to keep more options in within this under the same roof, basically.
I see. Um, with the academy you'll have, can you tell me a little bit about that? I know over in Sweden, like music or art is very like encouraged in like school. Am I correct about that?
That is true. That is true. It's done in different ways, but one way that I think is kind of unique for Sweden is that we have like a music school that is founded by the government, and for a very long time that was run by the municipalities and the government themselves. um, but lately that has been privatized, so now in some municipalities, I wouldn't say a lot of them, but maybe a few of them, there's an option as a private company to run a music school on the same conditions as if you were at the municipality school. So if you're a company, you get the same fundings, basically, which is a certain amount per student. That's how it works. And what this does to the society is that a lot of people in Sweden at the age of 6 or 7 are able to start playing an instrument. And what we are doing is that uh, we came in this business very early, where there was a long queue for the municipality school. Maybe there were like 800 kids waiting for starting to play drums, let's say, and we could just take those kids on, and just say, hey, you can start play drums here right away if you want to, and let's work with the music that you listen to and all that, and all of a sudden we had a school pretty fast that was up and running, and I started this when I was 21, so it was like a parallel thing to my studies that I was doing, my music studies. And gradually that became bigger and bigger, and more and more students. So today it's about 1,200 students and 50 teachers, somewhere around that. and we're in two municipalities looking to expand the business more. And yeah, that's pretty much how it works. But I strongly believe that is what Max Martin says too, that a big reason for uh, the Swedish success, so to say, in songwriting comes from an early age of learning an instrument and learning music theory and all that. And I think it's right. I think it's right. I think it creates like a common knowing in the music. Um, Absolutely. And it's always good to have an instrument when you're writing songs and all that
Definitely.
and
So,
producing it.
um, I know you talked a lot about the education, but could you talk to us about what you do with music steel? Is that how you say it?
Yeah, music still. Yeah, well, that is exactly what I was referring to. So, music still is the name of the school here in Sweden, and then we have some ideas of expanding this to London and to Los Angeles and New York, and that's where this becomes the academy, the Grand Academy, because music still, as difficult as the word sounds, it's a Swedish word, means genre, right? So we thought that maybe we should go with something that is easier for people in the UK and in USA to comprehend. So that's why the Grand Academy, and Musik still is a Swedish brand of that.
Right. Okay. I understand.
Yeah.
Um, I actually learned some Swedish for.
Oh, no way.
Yeah, can I say it and you can tell me if you understand what I'm saying?
For sure. Go ahead.
Hes hermar min van.
Like, hi Morten, how are you doing, my friend? Was that correct?
Yeah.
Yeah, you got a good accent.
I did pretty good. Do
Yeah,
you
you're doing great.
do you think you could teach us how to say something in Swedish?
So give me an idea what you want to learn. What kind
Um,
of Swedish?
I, why don't you teach us how to say something like, you know, inappropriate?
Nah, that's how you get the viewers, right?
Right.
Yeah, well, um I'm gonna use a word that my girlfriend always mix up with strawberries, because in strawberries in Swedish is jordgubbar, and which is not very strange, right? Jordgubbar, it's what it is. And then when if we get upset with an old man or something like that, or just a man, we say gubbjävel. It means like motherfucker, but it's dedicated to a man, so it's gubbjävel. And she always mix up jordgubbar with gubbjävel. So on the pancakes, she always says, "Can we not have those jävla gubbjävlar," which means the fucking motherfucking old mans on the pancakes, which she actually refers to the strawberries. I don't know if this makes sense, but jordgubbar or gubbjävlar is kind of similar words. So it's one is a bad word and one is a pretty nice thing. Strawberries is nice, right? So
That's
yeah.
hilarious. Hey, somebody in the chat says, "How do you say pro audio or mixing?" LOL.
Well, mixing would be mixning, so it's very similar. We borrow a lot of words from the English. Pro audio would be we would just say pro audio. Actually, we would use that word pro audio, uh, pro audio, which is sounds like pro audio with an accent, I guess, something like that.
Awesome. Cool. I, I don't remember what you taught me just a minute ago. I I wish I knew how to say it. um,
Jävla gubbjävel.
yeah,
fucking
Yav,
old man.
Yava Glavin. Am I close?
We have to practice that.
I'm a
Yeah, it's pretty
practice.
close.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, look. I think everybody wants to know about the studio. So, could you tell us a little bit about where you are right now? Maybe what you do on a daily basis with it?
All right, cool, absolutely, yeah, for sure. I'm here in the studio at Grand Music Group. I started to build this maybe 7, 8 years ago, literally from scratch. So my whole idea was to have a hybrid studio that was equally as much in the box as it is outside the box, and just being able to bring the flavors from each part that I find beneficial for the song, for the project that I'm in. It could be everything in the box, it could be everything outside the box, it could be 50-50. It that has to do with what kind of song it is and what kind of project, what kind of artist it is. Um, it obviously takes a little bit more time working in the analog domain. Um, Me personally, I kind of probably prefer that a little bit. I don't like to be in a rush, but sometimes projects are in a rush, and you have to follow the deadlines and stuff like that. Um, but it's nice to also try to create an analog atmosphere where workflow is also prioritized, so that it doesn't mean that you have to spend 20 minutes just putting something up just because it's analog, so everything is as much as possible pre-connected, um, pre whatever. you know so that's kind of the vision, I think. And I know that for a fact that I will build another studio one day, because this whole building is gonna go down. They're gonna take it down. They're gonna build like a shopping mall here, like everywhere. So at some point, I need to build another studio, and then I see this as a prototype for that, and I learn what works good and what I should do differently, and all that. Um, and I can really feel that although all the thinking I did before building this has also been very beneficial. So I think structure and organizing stuff and all that is super important when you build a studio. The whole patch bay here is it is a 10-unit patch bay, Switchcraft 96 25s. All those 10 patch bays are filled up. I need two more actually, but all of that is going into an Excel. Maybe I should wait for that. That was like I can hear the effect, right?
Yeah. Sorry, when you said that
Yeah.
you had the patch bay, but you needed two more. That was just such a flex. We need. Bam, 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 bam.
Oh, okay, okay, cool, cool,
Yeah.
cool. Yeah, yeah. Well, what my point was with that is that all of that was actually done in Excel, like Microsoft Excel, before going into the reality, right? So everything is just planned and scheduled, and the source going into this preamp, and then the preamp going into the output of the preamp goes into the interface, etc., etc. Everything is normalized in the best way that I found the most efficient at the time from what I had. I was
Right.
just having this conversation with Kuma actually, because he just bought a friend of ours. He just bought his first patch bay, I think. So yeah, we were just talking about that. But the patch bay is super important. It is the whole core of the studio, so it is
Right.
important for the workflow. Yeah. So absolutely. Do you want to tour or?
Oh, of course. Hey, let's see. Does the chat want to go on tour? I'm sure everybody would love to see it. If you know Martin, like I know Martin, you know this man has a ridiculous amount of vintage gear. Like ridiculous. So y'all seen it. We finna go on tour, Martin. I think that's what they want to see. Um,
All right.
how about this? I'm finna change this here so that our viewers can get a better view. Give me just 1 second. DC Maybone said, "Yeah." Richie Flo says, "Let's peep." They want to see it. All right, so
Sounds good. Sounds good to me. Let me know when you're ready with the settings for that, and I will
bet.
just take you
So
guys on tour.
I'm gonna go ahead. Up. Boom. We're ready. Let's go, Martin.
We're ready. All right. I will. Hey guys, and we will start down in this corner. I will switch the camera to the other side like this. And this is where we should have Rick on the call, but Rick is busy, I think. So I will
Yeah.
do my best to give the story behind the gear, right?
All right. So
Um,
first and foremost, let's just start top to bottom. What's up top and work your way down.
all right, cool, absolutely. These are all vintage Universal audio gear. Some of you are probably familiar with this 175 from the plugins. Shout out to Universal Audio. This is a very rare, unique equalizer. It's called the 500A, which has the high frequency shelf and the low frequency. And you can also set the high frequency here, pretty limited, but it sounds so good on all of those that you don't really need more. And you can either take the EQ out or you can cut it at 100 or 40 cycles per second, as we were saying in the 60s or 50s. I don't know exactly what year these were made, but that's probably around the 60s, I would guess.
Oh,
And this this is a metronome,
metronome.
very old. Yep, yes, sir.
Wow,
So that is giving the BPM right here.
that's awesome.
And this is the start button. Stop. Easy as that. And all right, so I'm going to go down the row here because we have some more to go through. These are the Ampex 351 pre amplifiers or line amplifiers, depending on how you look at it. I use these as preamplifiers. They have an extra transformer on the input side, so I use these as preamplifiers. Yeah, sounds great on that.
What would you
Um,
compare Ampex to? What somebody has never heard an Ampex. What's like maybe an American?
um, I think that would be very American, but what should I compare that to?
Is it gritty and colorful like a Neve? Is it like British like an SSL? Like bright and
These are
sharp like an
these are
Eldorado?
tube units, so they are not that they're not very tight as an SSL. They're more open sounding, more smooth, open, like the LA2A maybe, which is
Yeah.
smooth in a lot of ways, but it's not necessarily sounding like an LA2A, but tube wise maybe similar in if you could say that. They're
Yeah.
very smooth. I love them on ribbons because they have a lot of headroom. So yeah, for
They almost look
ribbon
like an
mic.
L.
All right, so let me move down here. I have so we're on the this is kind of difficult for me to show, but this is the left side of the control room. So I have a patch bay here, or it's not called a patch bay. It's what do you call that? Like where you can hook up to the patch bay with gear. Um, y- Sorry, my translation here, but it's in ins and out basically.
Oh, okay,
Anyway,
okay.
right. So here we go with a uni level, modified to sound more smooth. It's a compressor. This would be the SA39B, which is a Gates unit. That is it was before the stay level. So this is do you call it successor? What's the word for that?
Um, the predecessor.
Predecessor, thank you. You see, my English is not always perfect here. The accent makes me shine out as a Swedish. So yeah, this is the predecessor of the stay level, and this would be the predecessor of this. So this is the SA39, and this would be the SA38. Solid boxes. I
Yeah,
can open one for you, and you will have a look inside the vault.
that is. Now the SA38 kind of, I don't
Yeah,
know why.
these are solid,
Uh,
like that, right?
Martin,
So
how
yeah,
many how many of those exact ones that you have do you think exist?
I think this one and this one not so many. This one was more common, but not as common as the stay level. I mean, everything in the vintage analog world is nowadays fairly, rare and unique. But this is not, I wouldn't call it super rare, but definitely for sure to find one in good condition nowadays is more difficult. Absolutely. Um, so okay, maybe we should move on up here. So this would be the L Ray, um, but in other ways of saying it, it's the RCA BA6A, which is what it's called in the analog world. And then the plugin is the L Ray by Acoustica. It's an
Right.
amazing compressor, sounding really smooth, really nice. I love this one on vocals. I go through this one, and due to the very hot output, I actually put this equalizer after, and I just lift a little bit on the high end. That's why this has this setting, because it's always through this one and then this one. Sounds amazing on vocals. Here's the other one. Actually, there's 4 of them here. So yeah, these are the first 2. Um, you can, if you want, you can take one of the tubes out, and they call it the Elvis Presley mod, because then you can use it as a preamplifier. And as far as I know, that's exactly what Elvis Presley did on that one.
Wow.
I could be wrong. Maybe someone knows more of that than I do, but I think that's the case. This would be the Universal Audio 508, I think. 508. It's equalizers here, all of them, and then there's a preamplifier inside. So the preamplifier goes to the equalizer, and so there's pretty much a 10 channel preamplifier with equalizers of the vintage Universal Audio.
Right.
Um, all right, so moving down, um, we got the LA2As. I think everybody is familiar with that. I got 2 vintage units here, and this is the reissue. I kept this one because this was my first piece of gear ever. I bought this in LA, and I was traveling with this on my back to Sweden, and it was such a fucking pain in the ass to do that. So I said I cannot give this one up because I fight so hard to get it.
Martin, hold
So
on. I have to ask you a question. I heard from a little birdie that one time you were trying to fly with like 19 compressors or something, and they wouldn't let you, so you just had to like leave them outside the airport and have someone come pick them up. Is that true?
that is slightly exaggerated, but it's kind of true. It was 9 bags, and this was inside one of them, and it was not filled with compressors, all of them, but there was musical instruments, there was cymbals, there were guitars, there were lot of stuff. And as a rookie, I didn't know about the flight rules, so I just, they just told me you have to choose one of the bags, and you have to leave the rest. And I said, my God, in the middle of the night, 4 a.m., I'm leaving 7 bags of gear in the Los Angeles airport,
Oh my god.
hoping that my girlfriend at the time were, going to go out and pick it up. But yeah, well, she did. Yeah, she did. But this one, I actually brought myself. So it's kind of a memory from that sick flight that I had there.
That's
Yeah.
wild. I'm glad you got your gear though.
All right, thank you, I appreciate that. These are Federal compressors, kind of mostly known from the mix engineer Michael Brower, who used this a lot. Um, I love how they sound on vocals on bass. They are not especially fast sounding. They are more of a smooth, slower. You can modify them. I don't have the modification on this one. I have the modification on this one, I think, but it would be on the backside, so it's not very easy to access it. But I put it like a little bit faster on the release than this one, so I have, there are pretty much like I use this one for a slower setting and this one for a faster setting. Um, Sound great, dark and you know
Do they have a
crunchy.
plugin that emulates uh, Federal compressors?
I do not think so. I have not seen it at least. Maybe there is one, but I don't know. Um, I have not seen that.
Oh, DC
And
Raybone says, "OMG, you have one of those RCA's." He said that a while ago.
all right, yeah. Well, I do. Yes. So there's two, and there's the other two.
That's
Um,
cool.
yeah, it happened to me a few times that I've been looking for a pair of something, and I can't find it, and then all of a sudden, two guys tells me I got a pair. So I'm like, holy shit! I was not prepared for four. But then I'm like, okay, but maybe I should not miss out on the other pair. This was exactly that situation, right? So moving down here, this is starting with my Uray rack, Universal Audio, um, and up here is the Cooper Time Cube delay, which now exists as a plugin. It's pretty cool. It's a one-trick pony. Basically, you have two inputs. One is delaying the signal with how much is it? Is it like 5 milliseconds? I don't remember exactly the time, but it's like a fixed delay time on each, and you just I use both of them at the same time, so I get like the most out of it as I look at it, and then it goes through a garden in the back. There's a box that the signal goes through a garden. What do you call that? A slang or the one you that's Swedish. Um, the one you put water on your plants with. What
A
do you call
hose?
that? You have in the garden, like a long one that you put water on your plants.
The
What is it
hose?
called?
The hose?
Probably it's like
Huh?
is rolled up inside the box. That's my point. So it's like a metal one of those, and the sound goes through that one, as far as I know.
Okay, okay. Like a coil.
Yeah, something like that. I
Okay.
probably this is where my translation, is not really working for me.
I think we
So
get the picture.
yeah, well, okay. So this would be the LA3A. A lot of people are familiar with that, I think, from the plugin world or maybe in the hardware world. They did a reissue of that one too, but this is the old one. This is an LA4A. This is with Eddie Seletti modification. Sounds very good. I like that one. This is to me the best sounding reissue of the 1176s, so I got that one.
That's the purple
Yeah,
MC77.
exactly. Yeah, that's the Purple Audio MC77.
That
It
one's
has a
slaps.
sidechain option.
That
Yeah,
one
it's cool.
that's one of my
This
favorite pieces you have, honestly.
this one?
Yeah.
All right, cool. I'm glad you like that. This is the anniversary edition from Universal Audio. Phenomenal on vocals, in my opinion. I love that one. I mostly keep it on the ratio 2, which is pretty nice. But I'm using it for the other purpose now, so it's on 8. But yeah, it's great. I love that one. These are the vintage Revision D 1176s. Very beautiful, smooth sounding 1176s. They are all a bit different, the revisions. So this one would be similar to the E Also, I think the E is just the difference is just the voltages in the back. I think I don't know exactly. This is where Rick comes in the picture because he knows this deep stuff that I don't exactly know. So I'm moving on here. This is what Rick got me into buying. This is from the BBC consoles. Very similar to some of the EMI stuff, as far as I know. It's a two preamps and equalizers. Pretty cool, pretty tight sounding. And moving down here to the 1176s, the Revision A. Killshot is smiling.
You got the gold face 1176s. Like, that's just a flat. How much, if you don't mind sharing, how much does a gold face 1176 like that cost?
I don't actually know, to be honest. This is why it's gold has a story, because this used to belong to a friend of mine called Marilyn Moon, who has an amazing studio in Miami. He sold this to me, and before he sold me this, they were a part of his golden wall, as he calls it. So he had his whole wall replaced. All the faceplates were replaced to 24 karat gold instead of the original faceplate. So these are all original, like this blue stripes inside, except the front panel that is 24 karat of gold that he did. Pretty sick. Pretty sick.
Amazing.
That's a cool guy.
Amazing.
Yeah. So the Revision A is a lot of people know about that one. It's what it is. It's a very famous compressor, a lot of texture,
You
a lot
have
of
3 of them?
well, it would be 4 then with the 2 on top, so they are the same inside,
okay.
you know. Yeah, and I currently
Wow.
I use these on overheads on drums, and I use this on kick and snare, and this one goes on vocals.
That's
Yeah,
crazy.
and here we got the 1178s, which is a stereo, supposed to be a stereo version of the 1176, although it sounds a little bit different, I would say. Maybe they sound more like the Revision F or G in the 1176 world, but they are definitely their own thing. Stereo, one of these units are stereo, so this would be 2 stereo units. And down here we have 2 more LA4As silver face.
Wow.
Right, and that would be the wall on my left side in the control room. But on this side, then, which would be to the left of the left, I have some interesting equalizers. These are the Neves 33, 20, 87. And then I'm talking about these 4 guys, not this one. This is a 1064 preamp. From what I know, there's about 16 of these modules ever made. Somewhere around 16 to 20 ever made. These were for mastering. So each one is stereo, and they are absolutely gorgeous. Absolutely gorgeous. One of the most rare pieces of gear that I have. Also from Marilyn, by the way.
Marten, I'm laughing because you say that there was only 16 ever made, and you have literally 25% of their inventory right in front of you.
Yeah, and that's thanks to Marilyn Moon. He did the collection job. I have to give him that. Yeah. And down here we have the classic Fairchild 670.
Mm.
All
That's a very
original.
significant piece of gear, huh?
Yeah, this is very beautiful. Sounds so good, as you would probably guess. On this side is another Fairchild, also original. It has been extra service to be on the master bus, so it has even more perfectly matched tubes and capacitors and all that. So this one usually goes on a bus, and this one usually goes on something like background vocals or drums, or something like that.
Do you use
Love them.
your Fairchilds in side mode much?
Yeah. Well, I actually I do. I think it's one of the best mid-side compressors out there. I think it's a super beautiful flavor of this compressor, and it's called Latvert. And you just switch that here to Latvert. That's where you do it
Yep.
instead of left right. So, and then they work independently, mid and side. So
Awesome.
yeah, and that is a beautiful thing with these. Can really bring the sides to a super nice character. I do that sometimes on the reverbs. Can be very nice. Let's see. Down here is the Collins 26U. Two mono units. This is a mono unit. This is a mono unit. It's called probably the poor man's Fairchild. Not so poor anymore, I think. Um, these are getting more and more rare and difficult to find in good conditions. This would be the stereo unit of this one. So this is, let me know if I'm running through things too fast or too slow, and I would just speed up or speed down.
Yeah, I think you're going okay. We had a couple people say stuff. Damn, two Fairchilds flexing, and then he said that's the cleanest one I've ever seen.
They are beautiful. They are very beautiful in the as far as condition goes and all that. And I'm just awaiting two 660s that are being serviced in the UK right now. They've been there for a year, so it takes time to service this type of gear for sure, because you
You
got to
said a
find the tubes
year?
and all that. Yeah, it's
So
the big. Mm-hmm.
quickly before you move on to the next gear, could you maybe tell somebody like who doesn't know very much about gear how difficult it is to not only just get gear maintenance, but specifically gear that like very few people know about maintenance is?
Yeah, I mean it is very difficult because the reason, I think a big reason why you don't find gear like this today is that it's so difficult to find the components, right, and everything to be up to spec. It's easy to find components, but finding components that sound really good, that is difficult, especially when it comes to tubes. Some of the tubes that were made long time ago were made just with higher specifications and sound just better. And I'm not trying to be like a vintage nerd, because I'm all about the modern inside the box thing too, but it's just a fact that the old 6386 tube that is inside the Fairchild, this one has 8 of them, and all of them has to be perfectly balanced and matched for this one to sound perfect. And to find a set of 8 tubes like that today is just super difficult. And I don't think that JJ even matches 8 of them anymore, because it's so time efficient. Inefficient time wise, and it just takes so much effort, so they don't do it anymore. That's what I think. I don't know, but and nonetheless, it's just difference how those tubes sound, as far as I know. So yeah, that it is very difficult. And I mean, another side of it is also that finding someone who knows this, I mean, it's an outdying species, that all the people that knew how to service this, and that knowledge is very rare today. It's something that I think really like our generation should pick up more, because definitely that would be a lot of work. If you know that stuff, you have a lot of work if you want to. Yeah.
Crazy. So, can you go back? What were you showing us underneath these Fairchilds?
All right. So um, those are two mono units. It's called the called the Collins 26U. Um, all this type of thing exists because they needed the limiter in the radio stations back in the day. So these were kind of the last step in the radio station to give an even signal. So of course they have a very high specification and are very suitable for audio in a studio nowadays too. Sometimes you need to do a modification here and there, but but these are just great as they are. I love these two. I really like them. This one is a stereo version of these. To me, I know that some people would disagree, but I find this one to sound a little bit like an LA2A in stereo, which is nice. Obviously, that's how I look at that one. I use it for the kind of same purposes as I would use an LA2A in stereo. And this one would be the Altec 320. Sorry, what is it? It's 322C, which is an amazing limiter as well. The same kind of purpose as these in the radio broadcast world. And it's also just amazing on drums as a parallel or something, just crushing it, bring it up in parallel or something like that. Sounds very good. Yeah, so that's my left side, I guess. Then I keep some keyboards in the room for production purposes. This is Moog Musonic, made at 1971. Sounds very good. It's the old motherboard inside and all that. The good old DX7. Another FM synthesizer, the Uno 60, the memory Moog. I just bring in whatever I need for the session. We're right now doing a session where we're using these. This is the new Prophet 10. Yeah, it sounds great. They're definitely killing it on this one. I don't think these need any more declaration, really. I think people know about this. So I'm moving into my desk here, which is like a workstation, or what do you want to call it? So this would be my compressors, stereo. Oh, sorry, this is actually a preamp. Inward connection. This is the SSL 4000 compressor. I'm just going to run through it quite fast because otherwise I don't think we will be able to go through the gear. But so this is the Manly Stereo Varimu. This is the passive, massive passive. These are really cool. These are very, can sound very differently. They can be very transparent and very colorful. I like these ones. Modern stuff. Titans from Dave Hill. Sorry. Where is it? There. Trying to locate with the camera. Yeah, like that. And yeah, this is the GML 8200, 8200. Really good equalizer. We got the reverb, the Dre 2000. This is kind of unique in the way that not many exist today. It just came out of the UK, newly serviced, and phenomenal on drums. I know that Chris Lord Algie talks a lot about this one. The NTP compressors, limiters. This is a Calrec console. Not very, nothing special about that. It's an M3. Has a lot of features. Down here we got some more stuff. It's the yeah, you know what it is. Thermionic culture. What was that? Yeah, and the loop trotter, and this is an EMT plate remote. And this is one of the first Compex compressors. Later they did them in a 2-rack version, but this one is in a 3-rack version. It's like a prototype. It's pretty cool. Sounds good on drums, was mostly used, I guess. These are all remotes for reverbs and stuff like that. I think you recognize them.
Lexicon.
Yeah, exactly. And moving on here, this is a modern unit from the brand Cayhan, or however they spell that. I think it's Spanish. They make great stuff. The Atomic squeeze box, really cool compressor. Of course, the distressors. One of my first channel strips. It's the channel in a box that I can really recommend. They are very great sounding channel strips. I think Rupert Neve was involved in that design. Has a great preamp, a very nice sounding equalizer, and the compressor is, what it is. It's not perfectly sounding in my, or no, perfect would be the wrong word, but it's not as pleasant as other stuff, but it works. It does its job, and as a whole, it's a great thing. Moving down, we have the Chandlers, the Scener, the Curve Bender, and this shout out to Imperium 2400 Audio. Mark in Denmark is a small brand. They make these passive monitor controllers that, in my opinion, sounds so good. They don't sound at all. That's the thing with these monitor controllers. They are completely passive, so they don't color your sound at all. I was comparing this to another brand that is very famous, and this one was just like so open, and the other one just felt like there was like a limiter inside of it. And that's where I really understood that for me, I really love passive units when it comes to monitor controllers. So that's that. Down here, this is an SSL type sounding thing made in Sweden. Clarophonic, just where I connect my production stuff, guitars, and the regular stuff. A little flanger, a hole in the wall, ready to be worked on. This would be my sidecar, the BCM 10. I just switch the modules sometimes. I have like different types of them. Basically, they all have the same preamp, same circuitry. They just have different equalizer, different points, different sections. If I make it, like I just generalize a little bit. Of course, I love this. This is where I record all my drums. Do a lot of stems and stuff like that. Moving on, here is the effect rack, which would be the AMS stuff. There's a couple of them. There's an Avalon down there. There's some Dimension D in the bottom.
Damn, son.
Some phasers. Just moving on a little bit here. Here is my dedicated vocal Neve preamp. I use this for all my vocal takes, basically, if I'm doing Neve stuff.
Is that a 1073?
That is a 1073. Yes, correct. These are the 1079s. I use those in stereo type of stuff. I mean, I could go on the desk too. It's just they just happen to be in the box. So in this wood box, I just kept them there. The Bobatronics is a preamp. We got a nice sounding Calrec compressors here. These I can strongly recommend if you can find them on Reverb or something like that. They're not necessarily that crazy right now. The AccuSet is a it's like a reverb type of thing, or delay type of thing, from Sweden. So it was created here, I think, somewhere here in the Scandinavia at least. And there's equalizers. I don't know, tricky to see them now, but they're cool. They go up to 40 kilohertz, so those are pretty cool.
That's for real.
Yeah, those are the RFTs. If I'm not remembering wrong, I just did not connect them because they had like the wrong cabling, so I have to redo that. These are amazing U23 compressors. These are the start of how the VacuVox came to life. I think that the owner of VacuVox was trying to build something like this, and then the VacuVox became its own thing. But this is where it started, in the U23. from Röde and Schwarz. There we have the brand, Röde and Schwarz. It's a very new. Sounds very good too on vocals and stuff like that. And we got the stay levels. We got the CCA LA1Ds, which is like a stay level on steroids, basically. It's a lot faster, a lot more aggressive, more texture. We love that. We got, sorry, I just accidentally forgot about the Pultex, which are, can't skip the Pultex. Pultec rack is right there.
Huh? You got a lot of them. You got all the different styles, huh?
I get most of them. I don't know if I got all of them because I wouldn't know the ones I don't have. I think there's one I don't have, but I am not exactly sure which one it is right now. But these are the classics. And down there is another Pultec and the V76 preamps.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So and here is the Rat Nest as Kuma called. Again?
I said I hope Kuma's watching right.
Yeah, I hope so too, because here we go into the patch bay where he's spending a lot of time right now. This is what I was talking about before. I don't know how much you can see here, but so there are 10 units here, and I basically have the source of the rooms up here going straight into the preamps, and then the output of the preamp goes into the interfaces, and from the interface it goes, well, I have some going to tape, and yeah, it's kind of difficult to go through it, but the output is more down here, and up here is more the sources from the rooms, and keeping as much as possible normalized minimizes this shit. But you know, as you can see here, you have to do this type of stuff anyway if you want to do some inserts or, you know, and all that. And maybe there's other ways of doing it, but this is just how I ended up having it. And it's from what I can see in a lot of studios, it's how it looks like. I know that there's companies working on digital versions right now, and I think they will at some point be on the level where you can replace this with that. But at the moment, I'm just careful of replacing analog with digital if I don't know that the specifications are exactly there. So yeah, and here we got some bins on, some guitar effects. Here's another rack of Neves that I'm using for the drums. And here we got some effects going. I'm just ready to fill up this for building a little guitar place down here. And then in the back, there's another rack of some Neve stuff, the 33609s, first revision, and there's the BAE version of that. Up here we have the DBX. I don't know if you guys are bored by now, but this is the 162, the 165s, the 160, the subharmonics that Mr. Dex Simmons recommended. Thank you, Dex, for that. Shout out to Dex, the good old Dex. Here's an SSL clone. It's from TK Audio, a Swedish brand. Spectrum analyzer, some more SSL, some Altec 436, known from the Beatles. Those are cool. Oh yeah, and here is the 351 tape recorder in the full version. So I use this as a complete tape recorder. I would never go with a microphone into those. You have to know what you're doing. You have to either modify them and have them work for microphones, or you just keep it as it's supposed to be, like this. Yeah, so this is pretty much the control room. I use ATC speakers, I use Genlock speakers, and I got the Tannoy speakers in the very center there. They are coaxial, and I like that on vocals sometimes.
What kind of subwoofers?
I'm on a Genelec subwoofer right now.
I
Yeah.
love Genelec.
Genelecs are very, very, very good, and I have a good friend here in Sweden who works at Genelec, and I know that their custom support is amazing too. So, just good things to say about Genelecs, absolutely. Here is another Moog. This is the Mellotron that used to belong to Mark Knopfler. Here we are now in the vocal booth. That's why I'm speeding up a little bit so we can go through some stuff. And this is where we record. This is the M49 microphone. And sometimes I used to bring in some of the dynamic microphone together and blend it together with the tube mic. That's how that looks like. These are my preferable choices when it comes to vocal mics. Let's open this up.
Walk us through this.
Let's see here if this can stay up. So I'm gonna start on this end here. We got a let me see. Are we still connected, Kill?
Yeah, we are. I don't know what happened to my camera, y'all. Give me just one. Oh, there we go. Oh.
All right, cool. Just checking.
Yeah, I'm here.
All right, cool. So I'm just gonna go by real quick here. This is the M50. This is an M49 with the M7 capsule, which is kind of rare nowadays because they don't exist anymore because they actually just go bad by themselves because of the construction, unfortunately. But I love how those sound. So I always keep the microphones in a anti-static bag, as you can see, as much as it is possible, just to avoid the dust. These are the E-lamps. And this is the 251 from, let me see here, which one is which. I don't know. One of them is from, let me know if I should just make a stop kill if there's.
I'm getting a lot of lag right now. I don't know what happened.
All right, let me see. Is it better now?
Honestly.
No? Is it better out here? It could be my. So we got two E-lamps, we got two C12s, we got two U47s, and we got one M69, 269, and we got two U67s. That's basically my vocal setup. And what I do here is that I have all the power supplies connected in the bottom row here, so I can just put up the mic real quick, and I just bring the cable to the mic, and that's it. And then I just switch it on. So everything is just pre-patched, and that for me is a blessing when it comes to recording vocals and do it in a with a decent workflow. Here is another Neve desk. This is the 8014, currently in one of my projects here. I'm gonna have James from Canada work on this one. We just brought it to Sweden, so let me know. Are you still there, Kill?
Yeah, I'm here. I just kind of hopped back into the camera. Can you go back to that console you were just showing us? There we go. I think my computer might have just gotten overbogged with all the shit I'm doing right now. The stream's still working though. So tell us one more time, Martin, what kind of console is
This is a Neve 8014 console, Class A. It is kind of the same type of console has the little BCM10 that I was just showing. It accepts the same type of modules, 1073 type of modules, the 1272 line modules. It came to me from LA about less than a year ago. So I'm very excited to get this. I mean, it's already been looked at and it works perfectly fine, but we're just going to take it to a little bit next level and just make it perfect. So it has the 2254 compressors right here, and it will get the 1078 modules, if I'm putting it correctly. I think that is the correct number, 1078, which is basically a 1073 with an extra frequency option.
Oh wow, okay.
So those are coming in, and here we got EMT 251, which is a reverb. Got my machine room right here, tape recorder, the 2019 Mac Pro with the Avid HD interfaces, 16x16 analogs. There's some UA stuff over here. Mostly right now, there's an Apollo behind this, and I use that a lot for the processor. There's also another Apollo PCI card inside the computer. Here is the spring reverbs, the big BX20 and the 15, the ATR, Ampix ATR 250
We're out here
reverb.
using Ampex a plugin. You hear one. That's amazing.
And that would be my, because a lot of my vintage gear is American, right? So it has the 110 voltages by 60 cycles. So this is my going from 230 voltages, and then on the output of this little R2D2 here, it gives me 110 voltages and 60 cycles. So instead of 50 cycles that we are in here. Yeah, so yeah, that's that room. And then one of my later projects is my synthesizer room in here, which is the vintage synthesizers. You see, I need the keys for that one, but I just go ahead and it's not really up and running right now, but it's gonna be. If anyone has like any questions about the synthesizers, just let me know and I will just get into that room. But I'll save you the time. So here we have the tape recorder, the 24 track. We got some more vintage mics. Here we got the not so vintage, but artist Rebecca that I'm working with. Shout out to Rebecca.
Hey, Rebecca.
I was watching the stream of it.
Oh, you're watching it?
Yes.
Oh, okay, cool.
It, yeah.
All right, cool. We got 1 followers. That's at least 1 followers, right?
Yeah, we.
So let me see here.
Had,
I need to go.
We've had 6 or 7 viewers the whole time.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That's Ryan. That's Kuma. That's. Let me see here. I'm gonna open this door. This would be the drum room where I record the drums. It's not like a huge drum room by any means, but it actually it gives what you need. Sounds amazing to be for the size. I really think it sounds large, which is weird. So
Awesome.
yeah, I got what I need here. I would not fit a Ryan type of kit, but a normal pop kit, yeah, I can do that.
Well, you know,
So
I'm a drummer, so I love that right there. That's
yeah, I remember you're a drummer, man. That's where we connect. So yeah, this is that. Miking it with U67s on the toms. I don't know if that one is visible. Maybe not. Maybe I have to walk around here. Yeah, let's go through the mic setup a little bit. This is the another U67 on the toms. Here I got the KM86, I got the 190, I got the 441.
441 on a snare. That's fire.
That's cool, right? I
Yeah.
like that. Sounds good. And then it's the KM56 on hi-hat. Sounds good pretty much anywhere you put it. So why not put it on the hi-hat?
Yeah.
And then there's a KM, the SM2 is behind me. It's pretty much a KM56 in stereo mode. And here we got the U67s as a stereo matched overhead pair for this recording.
Man, your
Gives me
drums gotta sound great with those mics.
They sound really I really like how they sound. They sound really good. It's gives me a very transient, rich, dry type of sound that I can work a lot on and use in the box very easily. So and the way I do it, since I'm a lot of times I'm the drummer myself, I have this recording station here, which I obviously just record myself. Nothing unique about that. We got some Coles microphones up here. I put another STC, which is also a ribbon mic here. And I usually keep the door open, so I put another mic over there, and I might put one out in the stair hall. Yeah, that's pretty cool, and sounds the stair hall sounds phenomenal. I was just lucky to have a very good sounding stair hall. That will probably never happen again in my life, so I will probably sample that one and bring it as an IR.
Yeah.
And yeah, that's pretty much it. This has been a corner for this Prophet and a lot of shit right now, but it's supposed to be a piano corner when this is all fixed up. So, but right now I'm just servicing this Prophet 10 at the moment, and the kitchen and the coffee machines that some of us really love.
So let me ask you, got all this gear that you showed us, amazing. Thank you first and foremost. Do you have a holy grail piece that you want to add to your collection?
That I don't have.
Yeah.
There's probably a lot of that stuff that that you're eyeing and that you really want to have and that you're kind of dreaming about. What would that be in this case? I know definitely that I'm looking at. I would definitely love to find something EMI type of like an EMI console, like that. That would be a nice addition for sure. Those are rare. Those are very difficult to find. They sound really, really amazing. And there's more stuff. I would love to have like a germanium type of Neve preamp set. There's a lot of things out there, you can dream about.
Okay, and then I have another question. If somebody was looking to get into collecting gear, maybe specifically vintage gear, do you have any advice for a collector?
Yeah, I think it's as any market, you should be aware of what you're getting into. So that being said, I spent maybe 2 years just following stuff on eBay, on Reverb every day, because it's a passion of mine. You have to be a little bit crazy. And I was just following it for 2 years, and before I even start buying something, I would maybe compare that to the stock market or something, that you just you create an overall awareness, and you at the same time you're also maybe focusing on something like I'm gonna get deep down the rabbit hole of compressors or preamps or microphones, and you make sure you really know that stuff, and what is first of all sounding very good so you can use it, right?
Right.
And most of all, I mean, most of the times those stuff that sounds really good also are connected to a collective value. So they often go hand in hand. Um, um, so that would probably be my advice, to just educate yourself, read a lot about it, read old specifications about it, and read what people have been saying about it, read compare specifications and stuff like that. If possible, find someone who has something similar, or um, try it out, as in maybe try the plugins and get an idea of it. A lot of the plugins sounds amazing, of course, and is it sounding exactly the same? Of course not. Do you need the real hardware? Um, Probably not. Is it great to have it? Is it creating a lot of inspiration and motivation? For me, yes, absolutely. For a lot of people, definitely. Um, so I think it's really individual. If you're a type of person that enjoys this, and if you are, you should make sure you know it, and knows how it sounds. Create your own experience with it, and you know um, understand what color it brings to your painting. So you become quick at grabbing something in the situation, because you know how that one sounds, and um, how that one will result later on in the project.
Right.
So yeah.
Awesome. Well, look, uh, I think it's about time we get into a Q&A for anybody in the audience who might have some questions. Martin, um, we had a comment from DC Megaphone that says, "For real, Martin, you work with a plugin company to capture some of that amazing gear. That's something you've looked into, or is open to trying?"
Thank you, man. Thank you for the excellent advice, and it's a great advice. Um, it's just recently I've been speaking to our friend Rick about that. I don't know exactly what that is going to turn out into, but we've been discussing about doing something, because he's now in working more towards the plugins, as you and I know.
Yeah.
um, Maybe it would be very exciting, of course, absolutely. I have zero idea how you even start building a plugin, but obviously I'm not going to be the one doing it, I guess. But that is a super interesting thing, absolutely, for sure. Yeah.
Awesome. Hey, if you have any questions for me or Martin, go ahead and throw them in the comments. We'll take some questions, and then let's see. It says it's selfish though because I want to use that stuff myself.
Just come on over, take the flight to Sweden. Always welcome. We'll make sure to make it happen.
We're gonna see. Got any questions for me or Martin about the studio, about engineering, mixing, gear? Please feel free to leave it in the comments for us. We'll give y'all a couple minutes to ask any questions that you want. We will be moving on to our last and final section of the show today.
Connect my power here because my phone is running out of battery.
Yeah, well, I got a question for you, Martin. Well, we see if anyone else. How,
All
how do
right.
you feel about plugins versus vintage gear? Is one of them better? Does vintage gear really sound like a way that a plugin is incapable of achieving? Like, can we talk about that a little bit?
Absolutely. I know it's a sensitive topic for some people.
Oh, lost your audio.
Oh, let
Oh,
me
we're back.
see. Is it better now?
Yeah, it's better.
Oh, okay. I don't know. It doesn't work when I charge the phone. That's weird. Let me see that I am having battery enough here to. Well, anyway, if I disappear, it's because my battery is dead.
Okay.
Anyway, I know that's a sensitive topic for you, for a lot of people, but I would definitely not necessarily say that I choose a hardware because it sounds better than the plugin. Sometimes, yeah, yes, maybe I do, but if I put it the other way, I might choose a plugin because it's faster. The workflow is faster. It sounds good enough. Sometimes it sounds very close, and you don't necessarily need the plugin. Sorry, the hardware. And sometimes I don't need the plugin because I go through the hardware, and I don't know. It depends on the project. It's very difficult to say. I mean, uh, let's put it this way: if you have a Minimoog from Arturia, you can bring a pad on that one. But the real Minimoog is a mono um, monophonic synthesizer. It's not a polyphonic, right? So you can't really make a chord just like that. Maybe sometimes it's just you want that pad and you just want it instantly, and you don't have the time to arrange that with your real Minimoog. And for that, maybe I bring up the Arturia, the plugin, and it's fine. And I just bring in other elements of analog. What is great about the analog hardware is that it's difficult for someone to just bring up a preset and get it to sound exactly the same. So
Right.
it's more unique, if I put it that way. Unique sounding. You might end up with sounds that is more spectacular, that you can't really find, or it would take you a lot of time to create that in the box. Um, that could be a cool thing to use it for. Absolutely. And I do a lot of inside the box. I do a lot of carving. I do a lot of taking away frequencies and stuff like that. If I go into the mixing part, and I use mostly my outboard to bring up things, to add stuff, to add coloration, to add um, boosting frequencies, to add saturation, and stuff like that. And I take away inside the box. Yeah, I
Awesome.
love the combination. I think I would not want to be in a world with just one of them. I just love to be using both of them as a hybrid.
That's amazing. I got a couple questions that came in. DC Maybone says, "Are those the Manly Labs Tannoy?"
Uh, these are the Tannoy's little red monitors. If you're talking about the speakers,
I'm not
let me
sure
see.
what he was.
Let
Um,
me turn
I've
this
got
around.
another question too. He says, "Yeah, I was going to ask if there's any plugin emulations that are a go-to get an analog saturation when you maybe can't use your analog pieces."
That's a very, very good question. I gotta say, I really like the Kramer tape from Waves Audio. I use that one a lot on stuff that I want to bring a little bit of saturation and also analog feel to it, because to me, some plugins are great in bringing saturation and that as an effect, but they still are not really analog sounding. They are effect type of sounding. Um, but that Kramer tape plugin is giving me a little bit of both. So I guess that would be my answer. Now I'm mostly in this studio when I need that type of stuff. So I guess I'm if I need a hardware, I use the hardware. So um, yeah, but I think that would be my answer to that. And I definitely know there's tons of choices, and I think that all of them is like Dex Simmons says. There's different cars, but they will all get you to McDonald's if that's where you're going. Or it was something like that he said, and I think it's very true. If you're going for a destination, it doesn't really matter exactly what you're using. you will get there. If the
What do you-
future is right in this couch here.
Oh yeah.
The future is Rebecca here. So we're working on her album, and hopefully there will be a release in the end of this year, or somewhere around the end of this year, or in the beginning of next. I don't know exactly. We don't know yet. We're just working really hard to get it out. Um, Sounds, vocals, and everything will be produced here in this studio by Rebecca and me, and there will be some other projects too. There will be another Jonah Nilsson, I think, coming up. He's on tour, so I think after that. Um, Other than that, I don't know. Maybe more streamings with Killshot.
Yeah, you already know we finna be back.
Of course, of course, for
Let,
sure.
let me ask. Do you have anything that you want to shout out or give a plug to while you're here?
Just you guys. Thanks for doing this. I mean, this is so interesting. I'm always in your rooms on Clubhouse and love to hang out with you guys. It's amazing.
Yeah, thank you for
So
coming. It's awesome to have you on the show today. I'm curious. Do you maybe have a suggestion of somebody you could put me in contact with? You think would be a awesome special guest to have on a future show?
Um, oh, that's a tricky one. There's so many. You should bring Kuma in, I think, to and go through his artist career and talk a little a little bit about that. He has a lot of knowledge, I think, to share. I think you should try to get Urko in. You should maybe try to get Dexter Simmons. Why not Bob Horde? I think maybe. Uh, Let me see if there's anyone from here that there's a lot of people here, of course. Um, I will just drop your name for a lot of people here and see who has Discord and Twitch.
Yeah,
You know,
appreciate it, bro. For real.
for sure.
Um, I
Yeah,
think
man.
I think that's everything I have for you today, Martin. I just want to give you another thank you so much for coming on to the stream. I'm sure our audience had a great time and appreciates you showing off all the gear, giving us your knowledge, your experience. What time is it in Sweden right now? It's probably like almost 9 p.m.
Thank you so much, and thank you for watching. And it's almost 8 p.m.
Okay. Well, look, I'm gonna give us a round of applause for Martin on the show.
Thank you so much, man. Thank you, guys.
Awesome.
Appreciate you all.
Martin, I hope to talk to you again soon, buddy. Have a good afternoon.
You too, man. Take care. Talk soon. Bye bye.
Alrighty. Peace out.
Bye, guys.
Alrighty, y'all. I want to thank y'all again for coming on to the show today. This was episode 1 of Knowledge That Kills. Live here, twitch.tv/KillshotENG. Before I go, I want to let y'all know, next Thursday, I have another special guest. He's coming on to the show. He goes by the name of Bob Horn, aka Bob the Builder. He's a multi-platinum, multi-Grammy winning mix engineer. He will be here at 5 p.m. next Thursday to share with us his knowledge, his experience, and his journey through the music industry. Please, if you enjoyed the show today, make sure you follow the channel, make sure you subscribe. Please, if you can donate, that would be a great thing to help the stream to continue to grow. And tune in next week, Thursday at 5 p.m. for our next special guest, Bob Horn, on Knowledge That Kills. Appreciate everybody who joined in today, and I hope y'all have a great afternoon. Peace.
Damn, son.
Ooh. Turn the beat up, Kill Shot. We finna kill this one. I'm out of there. I'm gone.